So my personal story is I have 168 rental properties. I started accumulating these in 2021. We built Beltway lending in 2022. I'm going to kind of jump through my personal story of investing, and then I'll kind of tie into Beltway lending and how I utilize our loans and how you guys can as well. So in 2019, Angelo and I, who's in the room, bought our first property. So 2020 is really when the fun of the story starts. But so in 19, we had $14,000 in the bank. So anybody, with less than 20 grand, and they tell you can't do it, I promise you can. Just got to find the right deal. So we found a seller who would seller finance for us. He said, give me $5,000, pay me $250 a month, and I'll hold the mortgage. So we bought a house on the southwest side of Baltimore, 3134 Wilkins Avenue, you can look it up, for $20,000. And we thought we could renovate a 1,300 square foot townhouse with about 10 grand in about 3 months. And it took us probably about $60,000 and about 18 months. So at the end of that process, we sold the house for $60,000. And that sounds like a huge swing, but you kind of know the numbers now. We didn't really make a dime. However, we walked away from that with a nice check because we really only owed the guy 14 grand at this point. So at the settlement, we pay off the 14 to our seller finance and have a check for 45. And that was kind of what helped us get going. And we ended up moving into hard money, just as kind of Dan mentioned. That was like our natural progression. By the way, our team is here. They look like prison inmates. They're wearing orange. One of them makes these wonderful slides. They are what they are, right? In the middle, kind of after we sold that one and before we really started accumulating rentals, one piece of advice I got was, man, you should really try to find a way to get into the game full time. I was a financial analyst for Northrop Grumman, and the job was, a little monotonous, right? It wasn't really aligning with my goals. So I found a kind of very popular hard money lending company in Baltimore and basically went to them and said, I want to work for you. And they told me, no, you need experience. So how about I come work for you for free? And I started doing Excel work only, just kind of analysis. And after about 3 months, they hired me full time. So the first rental that we accumulated was May of 2021. And that's kind of an important milestone. I'm going to jump back because when I was at this hard money company, I could see how people were effectively using hard money to renovate properties quickly, not over 18 months. And then what they were doing when they wanted to keep it, right? They were using what's called a DSCR rental loan. These loans don't require income documentation. They don't require tax returns, and they close super fast. It's really easy. Does the property make money? Yes. Great, we'll give you money. So I'm a process-based person. I could see, they're using a hard money loan to buy it, renovate it, and then they're refinancing it. I mean, we can do that. We might be able to do this more effectively now that we kind of see the playbook. From May of 21 until December, we accumulated 21 houses. When we started our partnership, we were like, hey, let's just get 10, then we'll split them up and see if we still like each other and if we still want to do this. It was October and we picked our head up at 16 and we're like, oh my gosh, how do we even get here? And this is kind of the real, this is the puzzle. These are all the pieces of the puzzle. So repetition is kind of broken out here into neighborhood, house, layout, materials, and team. Somebody gave me some advice and they said, man, right now, those 20-something houses you have, they're kind of all spread out. You got East Baltimore, you have Dundalk, you have Essex, you have West Baltimore, you have, how are you even coming up with a process and a renovation plan, right? So this guy, Ross, who's actually here, he said, you should narrow it down to a house type. He's so granular that he said, I only buy end of group houses. So, that was in 21. I can tell you where we're at now, and this is how granular we look at some things. We buy 896 square foot houses or 1024 square foot houses. We need 18 cases of flooring on a smaller house and 21 on a larger house. So once we moved into a model where we started buying specific neighborhoods and scaling those neighborhoods, we were able to start renovating much more efficiently. Not only did we know exactly how much material to get, we didn't even have to go to the project. Our guys would show up and they knew layout, they knew where the kitchen was going, they knew where the basement bathroom was going. It was simple, and it started to really like standardize all of our rehabs, our materials, and our costs. We used the BRRRR strategy. Is everybody in here familiar with the BRRRR strategy? Is there anybody that's not familiar with the BRRRR strategy? Perfect. The next slide, I'm going to go into it in depth. We've done it 168 times. We've done it really effectively in some cases, and we've done it really poorly in others. And the things that differentiate them are the purchase price. Did we buy it right? Did we get a bad appraisal? Did we fight the appraiser and piss them off even more? How did it go? And then along the way, we realized that when you're renovating over and over and over again, that bank account is kind of like a really slow decline, right? Rental income is great at $400 or $500 a month, but not when you're shelling out $5,000, for every project. So we started wholesaling some here and there. We don't do a ton of it. Like, I'm not one of those guys that wholesales 30 deals a month and that's my claim to fame. If somebody sends me a deal and if I would buy it for that, and I know that you would also buy it for that, I'll try to make $1,000, $2,000, keep the wheels moving, send you a deal, and keep it moving. And we started flipping, maybe one house every few months as well, just same premise. The deals are coming in, we don't want to turn them away, so that's how we keep it moving. The BRRRR method is kind of laid out here. So it's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So we use hard money and purchase the property, and we wrap our renovation budget into the hard money loan. That way we can use other people's money to renovate. And I'm going to jump into hard money toward the end of this so we can really deep dive in that. I'll take questions and I'll finish up early so we don't keep you here late. When we're done rehabbing it, we work on leasing. We need to find a tenant. We need to get that property producing income as fast as possible. Normally, in the beginning, we were like, hey, we're 2 weeks out from finishing rehab. We need to start looking for tenants. Meanwhile, we were probably like 2 months out from finishing. We've got tenants coming in and they're like, this is going to be done next week. Are you sure? Are you sure about that? And then we would refinance it. Now, the premise of the whole strategy is really based on the buy and the refi. If done correctly, the money that you put out for your down payment when you buy it, you can recover it when you refinance it. So if you put out 10% for a down payment on hard money, you're hoping that through that rehab, you've increased value. For us, what that means is adding a bathroom in the basement, maybe sprucing up the kitchen, maybe moving the kitchen. Generally not. We stick to more low-level cosmetic. Our average renovation budget's about $40 to $45,000 in a 896 square foot townhouse. But we need to add value. We need to, and I'll tell you, one of the hottest tips I can give you is any real estate agent in here would tell you if they ran comps on a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house on the MLS or the Bright system, they're probably putting in 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. And in my neighborhood where I play, you're going to see comps at 165 to 178 all day. The second you change that bathroom number to 2, your comp set is dramatically different. You're now seeing houses appraised for 205, 210, and 215. For $4,000 to $5,000, I completely changed the comp set that we're using for our ARV. And that happens in every neighborhood. As investors, I'm not looking to spend $10,000 to increase value by $10,000. I'm looking to spend $5,000 to increase by 15 to 20. Getting out of your current comp set and getting into a new one is how you're going to be able to refi your money back out. And then you repeat it. You have that down payment money back, do it again. And I promise you that if you do it enough, you're going to stumble onto home runs, right? You're not only able to just get your down payment money back, you're going to get more money back. So now you can do 2 or 3 of these at a time. And then before you know it, you're doing 10 at a time. Right now, we buy 7 to 8 properties a month. And that's why I don't have any hair left. It's really becomes a process. I know addresses better than anything. And, fortunately, we haven't overlapped the addresses yet. So we've been really fortunate on that front. So on the example 1 for a hard money loan, $136,000 purchase with a $44,000 rehab, you'd be all in for $180,000. On that same scenario, if you were going to refi it, you get that appraisal for $225,000. You still have the $180,000 loan. You can borrow 80%, which you can't really see there. That gives you it's a $180,000 payoff, and you're walking away with a little bit more money. I'll make these slides available to everybody. I think Zach has all of your emails. We'll straighten them out and make sure everybody has them. The software we use is a little bit different than this. So back on track here. At the end of 22, we were at 67 doors. And what we did in 22 is we stopped buying everywhere and really honed it in. Like, we're basically known as the kings of Dundalk at this point. We have over 90 units in Dundalk alone in a neighborhood called the ABC Streets. And it's been really rewarding. It's a neighborhood that's close to home. We've definitely changed property values dramatically. And it's a system that works really well. 22 Beltway lending was also formed, but it didn't take the shape until 23. That's why it kind of shows up here. The end of 23, we had 127. We're currently at 168. Beltway lending, at the time, that was our staff. One of those people isn't here anymore, and we actually have, I think, like 18 or 19 employees at this time. So Beltway lending, I guess I skipped a step here. So in 2022, I had started to outgrow this hard money company that I was at because I understood like the game really well, and I was buying rentals at scale. And they were really interested in me building them a rental portfolio and me not building my own portfolio anymore. So that was the end of our time in July. But I had all the pieces of the puzzle, and $4 million in hard money debt, July of 2022, which meant on August 1st, $40,000 is coming out of my account at 12%. So I needed a way to get out of my hard money loans and keep my rental portfolio moving. And that's when Beltway lending was born. As you can see, the difference with Beltway is that my guys, everybody you see in this room in an orange prison jumpsuit shirt, they know the game. They're investors. Every single one of them, with the exception of one, has a house that is an investment property. If you jump on the phone with a lot of loan people, a lot of people that do this for a living, I'm not going to say everybody, I wouldn't blanket them like this. You're talking to somebody who's sitting at a computer and hasn't ever thought about what happens if my rehab goes over. This appraisal came in a little late. That's okay. The borrower will just bring a little bit of money to closing, or they're just getting a little less cash out. They might not realize that means your less cash out means you can't jump right into that next deal. I mean, as an investor, I know when I have a cash out refi closing on Thursday, that money's gone Thursday night. I promise you, like I've already spent it. So when something goes awry, it's tough, right? We understand that. My team knows that if we get a cash out refi HUD to review and the borrower's bringing money to closing, there's obviously something has gone wrong. That's my favorite example. Where I was at before, a processor would send a HUD off on a cash out refi with the borrower bringing $20,000 to closing. It's like, come on, that doesn't work. It's not even, we need to catch this. What happened along the way? Selfishness, personal refis. That's why we started Beltway. $40,000 a month is a pretty hefty check coming out of my account. But again, this is kind of what we talked on. It's investor owned and focused, and it's process based. So when we started it in July, I was still buying at crazy scale. We still are now. But I couldn't stop and figure out, like, did I send that same document in already? Did I do this? What does the processor even mean? So our team tries to do all of the legwork for you. We have templated documents for every single thing that we would need, and it's fillable. It's simple. Like, here's a great example. Have you ever gone to get a loan, and your loan officer says, hey, Ross, I'm going to send you an application. Fill it out for me, and then I can get the appraisal ordered. No, so at Beltway with my team, I'm going to say, hey, Ross, I just need your license. My team's going to pre-fill the loan app. They're going to call you to get some sensitive information. I need your social. I need your title company. And then we're going to send you the application for signature. So it's ways to help kind of move forward. I don't want to stop in the middle of my busy day and fill out a 3-page loan application or a 7-page loan application. I want to click e-sign and be done and move on. That's what we're here to do. Our two products are hard money loans and DSCR rental loans. And if you're in the investing space, you can use these maybe monthly, you can use them weekly, we use them a lot. So hard money loans, they really have two components. They have purchase money and they have rehab money. So not only can you borrow money to purchase it like a normal loan, but you can use our money to renovate it. So my favorite example is a purchase price of $100,000, a rehab budget of $50,000, and an ARV of $200,000, $225,000. That's my standard Dundalk numbers. We do it every month. If I need 10% down, that means you're only bringing $10,000. We're going to lend you the 90 to buy it. We're going to lend you the 50 you need for the rehab. So your loan amount with us is going to be 90 plus the 50 for 140. And when it pays off, when you sell it for 225 or 200 or 225, you're going to keep the delta. If you refinance it, if it appraises for 200, you can now borrow 150 on it, pay us off, and walk away with the difference and have a rental that you technically probably don't have very much out of pocket for. The DSCR rental loans are the perfect complement for the buy and hold investor. If you have a property that's free and clear, if you have a hard money loan, or if you have a high equity property that you want to tap into, we can help you do that in about 20 to 21 days is what it takes to close. In Baltimore, I control my appraisal system like under lock and key. We've built out a very similar system for Harrisburg. We have a panel of Zach's appraisers that are pretty aggressive, really aggressive. So we have the same system in place out here. We can help you make sure you're getting out of your loans. And what advice I would give you is find your appraiser. We can most of the times work with your connections. If you have someone that you pick up the phone and you're like, hey, what do you think this is going to appraise for when I put 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in it? Let's eliminate that variable. I can send that guy the appraisal. You already know you're going to get a $200,000 report, right? And then we can rock through the process. When and why to use hard money loans? So there's really I'd say there's 2 real reasons to use them. And it's whenever there's renovation needed and whenever you need to close fast. We can close hard money loans in 5 days. We're closing one tomorrow that came in this morning. I like 7 days. I like 10 days. I like 14 days. My team really likes 10 to 14 days. No one likes when I'm calling. I'm like, hey, we got to wire the title company for one. And they're like, hey, well, I don't even see that on the pipeline yet. Renovation, you don't want to fund that out of pocket. Like, if you have $100,000, let's say $150,000 in your bank account, and you're going to buy a property for $100,000. If you use me for the hard money, you need $10,000 out of pocket. You have a lot left in your bank. You could buy it with cash, and you have 50 left. But I guarantee you, the second you spend all that money, tomorrow the home run deal of the century is going to come up, and you're not going to have enough money. You're not going to be able to scale. You're going to miss out on one. Using hard money allows you to scale a little bit wider. You're using my money or the company's money for renovations. It's really smooth. And it's obviously investors, so we can only lend hard money and DSCR loans on investment properties. Nothing that you're going to live in. Hard money loans, here's some of the, bullet point. They're short term. They're 6 to 12 months. They are not designed to be long term. For those not familiar, hard money standard terms are 6 to 12 months, 12 to 13% interest only, meaning when you make a payment, you're not paying down principal. So when you borrow $100 and pay that $1,000 every month, at payoff, you still owe the $100. The approvals are fast. This says 7 days. It's a good average. You can borrow purchase and rehab, and obviously they have the higher interest rates that I mentioned. And then rental loans, this is the opposite side. This is very similar to your normal mortgage on your personal house. They're generally 30-year fixed. We can do some ARMs. I wouldn't really advise it right now. We have long-term 30-year fixed. It's based on the property's income. No income docs, no tax returns, no W-2s. I don't need any of that. I just need the property to make money. I need you to have a credit score above 640 to do these loans. Interest rates right now, the guys are going to hate me for saying this, but they're 6.875 to 7.375. Our loans are at, if you have good credit, if you kind of fall in certain buckets, the same price as if you went to PRMI or Bank of America to get a mortgage. We're almost exactly the same right now. Zero seasoning. So it's a loaded question and a loaded answer. Cash out, 3 months. If you're just paying off a hard money loan, 0 seasoning. If you paid cash for the property, we have a loophole that we understand a little bit better than most people. If you pay cash for a property, I can get you all your money back generally on the first. We can start that loan on the first day. Still takes about 20 days to close, but we can start it right away. 75, 80. 75 on a cash out, 80 on a rate and term. We have an 80 cash out product for 760 and above. But yep. And I have 2 of our guys' contact information in here, Tim and Logan. They're in the room. There's cups at the back table. Please take them. We've had them. We want to get rid of them. We want you guys to take them. We put business cards in them so you can call us. We will quote and run every scenario you run by us. That's our job. That's what our guys do. We want to make hard money accessible to everybody. Everybody knows a hard money lender that won't pick the phone up. My team will answer the phone. So I think this should be the last one, right? Yeah. We can hang around and network, do Q&A. We can do whatever you guys want, whatever Zach will allow us to do. We got.
As far as the entrepreneurship in the business, I'm thinking through. So you go from this company and all of a sudden you're starting your own hard money. You have to have some type of investor backing or something, because you're not, I'm assuming this sounds like millions of dollars.
Great question. Didn't offer hard money for the first 6 months. Didn't even offer DSCR loans for the first 3. And then in October 1st, I woke up with 1 employee and $15 million in DSCR loan pipeline that I simply couldn't manage out of my home office. I hired 3 employees. One of them is a sales manager. One of them was another processor. And in December, we hired again. And then that's when we launched the hard money. We had a little bit of a bank account. And basically my thought process at that point for hard money was, I'm just going to lend hard money to people that have used me for the refi, because I've seen them go through the bank. I know they have multiple exits. They can flip it. We can refi it. My money's safe. And then it scaled. And some of the banks that we started working with said to us, hey, you do all these DSCR loans. Right now we close about 90 loans per month in DSCR, which is a lot. Like that's about 18 to 19 million in loans in DSCR, which puts us up there. What'd you say?
We pay 10% for how we built it to say more.
Right, and we also started saying, hey, like we'll pay you 10% if you wanted to lend money, right? We want to grow our hard money book. You got 150 grand sitting in an IRA and a 2% Bank of America account, which is now 5%. But we'll pay you 10%, and once you crack $1 million, we pay you 11% on a monthly basis, and it kind of ran that way. And again, it's a super tight knit. Like our products are designed to cut out a lot of the BS. That's why we move so quick.
There still has to be a good pool of investors that you were tapping on, right?
For hard money? Not really, not in the beginning. It was very slow in the beginning, like very, very slow. Even today, hard money, we probably lend like 3 to 4 million a month, and it rotates though. We have most of our stuff it turns over in about 120 days. Everybody has a 6, 12, or 18 month term, but the average turn time is like 123 days. So yes, it was super painful in the beginning, and I'm not one of those guys who ever said, I can't lend on your deal because it's not a good deal. I was just very honest with you. Hey man, look, right now we're doing 2 to 3 hard money loans a month. We're tapped. And then next month it was still 3, but then it was 6, and then it scaled. You know, I remember what worked for me and what still works for me, because we're still, every deal we borrow hard money, every single deal. Why don't you use your money in your bank account? You will pay less points. It's whatever. It's baked into the numbers at this point. So that's kind of how we scale. And it was a nightmare, by the way, when you know you got 40 grand coming out on 8-1 and you're like, what do we get? You know, because rentals, everybody's like, oh, you had a lot of rentals, right? But cash flow, it gets eaten up so quickly. You know, for us, the rentals are definitely appreciation. It's part of the game. But man, when you're staring at 40 grand, you're ready to come out. It's a little daunting. Does anybody have any questions, any scenarios, any deals? Quote a deal up right now.
Do you guys lend in all 50 states?
We don't lend in Alaska, we don't lend in Nevada, and we don't lend in North and South Dakota. I don't think any people are really playing in Alaska that much, so that one shouldn't count.
I mean, I have flippers in Texas and Mississippi, and they're flipping like 30, 50 homes a month. And I don't do DSCR loans, so they're looking to do a DSCR, and basically they cash out. They want to do DSCR after a 6-week flip.
Perfect. We also pay you a referral fee. Anybody that brings any of my team on, we pay them a 0.5 point. So, and then on our side of lending, which is the Wild Wild West, I mean the commercial side, not the Fannie Freddie side, we can send those checks and we're happy to do it. Yep. Our team is right now, we have, I think, not all of our sales team is even here. Right now we're taking in about 2.5 to 3 million in loans per day. And that's, a lot of that is probably 50 to 60% is concentrated in Baltimore, where the average loan amount is $158,000. So think about when you extrapolate that out, how many loans our team takes in. We have a full processing staff, which is really, 95% of DSCR lenders out there, you have one guy who sells you the product, sells you the loan, right? Then he calls you 2 days later, hey, I need these 5 documents. And he's processing your loan and selling your loan. Well, what is inevitably going to happen is the way that person is paid is when your loan closes. So 30 days from now, he gets a paycheck. However, he's also got to be thinking, I need to sell another loan 3 weeks from now because I need to keep a paycheck going. So you're processing his loan, you become backseat because, human nature takes over. I got to make sure I got a pipeline. I got to make sure I have money coming in stable. So our team has a dedicated processing staff, a dedicated underwriting staff, all in-house. That's what's going to allow us. I mean, our turn time's 21 days on average right now, and a lot of places are north of 35. So yeah, I can help you out.
Yes. What net coverage ratio are you looking for?
So it's a tricky question. I can loan you the money at 0.75. I would probably tell you that that's a really bad idea. Like, you're losing money at that point. His question was, at what ratio can you lend? So 1-to-1 is as low as I would feel comfortable telling you that it's a good deal. I can do that. 1.0. That means your new mortgage is $1,000 and your rent's $1,000. We don't take into consideration property management. So if you're paying your property management guy 10%, $100, you're now losing money on that. There are some cases where that makes sense, right? You bought a house on the water and you got a crazy equity play for like 2 years from now. But so to answer your question, we can go as low as 0.75 if it's not really a good idea, but we can do that. But at least 1-to-1. We can also do it on Airbnb, short-term rental. A lot of people kind of have an issue with that. We can do mixed use. We can do rural. We can do small commercial under 2 million. That's like the natural progression, right? A lot of people do 1 to 4 unit properties, and then they kind of go 5 to 8, which we love doing. And then it seems like they either go into small commercial or they go into mixed use at that point. It's just like a natural progression. Mixed use rates are a little bit more expensive. They're like 8.5, and commercial about the same. Still 30-year money.
Somebody being pre-approved, what do you got in mind?
Anybody in this room, all of my team has their own dedicated link. All you have to do is click on it, and they'll reach out to you. We have business cards. Every cup back there has a card in it. Just call us. If you send us an email, here's what we need. I need your license. I need to see that you have down payment money, which for us right now in Harrisburg is 10% down. So if you're buying $100,000, let's reverse engineer it, right? You have a bank account with $30,000 in it, we'll give you a pre-approval. And we'd say to you, keep in mind there's going to be closing costs. So I'd stay in that 100 to 150K purchase price range, and that's really going to be it. We can eliminate that $20,000 barrier pretty quickly, with 10 to 15 grand. We also don't have very many small loan limitations. So we can do, if you're buying a deal from Zach and it's 80 grand with a $40,000 rehab, we can do that. If it's 70 grand, 60 grand, we can generally make all of these deals work. Yes?
Just pre-approval. The hard money, do we just tell you what we estimate the rehab's going to be?
Yeah, super simple. So when we're quoting the deal for you, we're going to probably ask you for like 3 things: purchase price, rehab, ARV. With that, we can really quickly say, hey, this is a good deal. Hey, this is a bad deal. Good advice for everybody when you're first getting started. The best underwriting that you're ever going to get is take that deal to a hard money lender. We don't make money if we don't lend money, right? And we won't lend money on a bad deal. So if you bring me a deal and I'm like, we can't really lend you on that, or we, you got to bring 40% down, that's an indication that the deal's too tight. But yeah, we can put numbers together. I like to have an address too. But we can put numbers together with purchase, rehab, ARV, and if you have the address, we'll send you a full term sheet. We can generally turn it around in, like an hour, less than an hour? Logan says you call him any time of the day, he'll answer. 3 a.m., he's up. He's like, I'm ready. Yep.
One question. I was talking about the issues, the hard money lender and the draws. Can you talk about how your draw process works?
Yep.
Please.
Yep, so the question was, Dan mentioned hard money lender and draws. The example he gave is that his contractor was going and getting draws and he had to authorize them. And he had something on his slide that is very similar to the way we word it. We only pay for work completed. So have a strict scope of work, which we can help you. We have templates, we have everything. We can help you put that together. Now, I can't tell you what your costs are going to be, but I can help you with the line items. Demo, framing, drywall, roughing, all of those things are going to be on there. But at the end of the day, like, our draws can be as simple as you want or as complex as you want. If we don't have a limitation on draws, you can take 100. I would prefer that you didn't. But in the beginning, we did. If our HVAC guy was putting that system in Thursday and he's like, hey, you owe me $5,500, I was like, okay, I'm going to go check it out Thursday night, and I'll bring you a check Friday. Meanwhile, Thursday night, I'm taking pictures, sending it to the lender, getting the draw Friday morning, and taking them as $5,000. So it can work like that. It stresses the system, but it can. Work completed. You know, we would advise every borrower, we don't give upfront deposits, because you know what they need that upfront deposit for? To finish the last job that they ran out of money on. They don't need it. Like, what's the first thing in every project that you're doing? It's demo and trash out. There's no material to buy. And look, that's going to be a little inconvenient at first, right? I would tell you, when we start a new relationship with a contractor, and at this point, it's a little different because of our reputation, but in the beginning, it was like this: hey, I will meet you every day with a check if I have to. If you need money every single day, I will meet you, but I'm meeting you at the end of the day. So if you've demoed 2 rooms and it's whatever, I will meet you with a check. And that's kind of how it was. On one of our projects, it was really bad. It was like change order after change order after change order. And it's like, man, and that contractor got his foot in the door with a $15,000 scope of work that was $55,000 at the end of the day. But we only pay for work completed. Even material gets a little dicey, but I mean, it ain't free. And what Dan said about the cabinets is 100% accurate. We use them on every single property. They delivered a truckload of them today to 7134 Gulf Street. And Angelo forgot the 9-inch cabinet. It was out of stock. One cabinet. By the way, I went into their warehouse. We were in his warehouse like 6 months ago, and I mean, it's like the one side is like 2 times the size of this room. And I'm like standing there, I'm like, man, this place is really big. And I like open the door and I'm like, it's like 2 times the size of it. I'm like, I've never seen so many cabinets in my life. But truly every property that we had put cabinets in, we use those guys. They're great. And they deliver them. That eliminates time. You got to find ways to free your time up, right? Like going to Home Depot, I would just get lost looking at finishes. I shouldn't even be looking at it. I'm doing loans and Angelo's like, why do we have this mosaic tile here? They'll deliver them. But did that help? Yeah. I'll do a refi on that 7 unit. That's easy. Anything else? Happy to hand this over. Let Zach take back over. Cool.